Hey, girlfriend, we are so glad you are here. We are going to be experiencing the beauty within and discovering some new things about ourselves. And I have Jennifer Gilead with me today. Hello, Jennifer.
No, thanks for having me.
Yes, I am really excited about this conversation because we haven't had one yet where we've talked about like nutrition and how it's working in our bodies and all these beautiful things. And so you are a registered dietitian, licensed therapist, and menopause practitioner with over 30 years experience. Oh my goodness.
Crazy, right? I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
This flies, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, there's so much talk right now. There's a lot of conversation around menopause and not just in that time of that transition, but afterwards and before and all these things because so much changes during that time. And women just, I think, sometimes are just so overwhelmed with all the information that's coming towards us. It's just nice to have a girlfriend to go, hey,
Yeah.
can you tell me what would be good for me? What would, where can we start? What can we look at? And we're going to be talking today about your resource that's in the Being Brave Tour magazine.
Mhm.
And you talk about kind of a woman's guide to coming home to herself and kind of checking in with her body and all these things because there's a lot changing. And
So much.
sometimes we feel like we're broken.
Yeah.
We don't feel like ourselves. I mean, what are some of the things that you hear women say?
I think I was talking to a local gynecologist, and she said if we could make it a diagnosis that I don't feel like myself anymore, that's that's what I hear 99.9% of the women say. I just don't feel like myself. And they can't necessarily put a finger on what that is exactly, but it just doesn't feel like home. It doesn't feel like how they're used to feeling. And so even, talking to a group of women, you could have a room full of women and everybody's experience would be different and everybody's explanation of what that means would be different. So we tend to try and put people into these buckets of you're in menopause, you're in perimenopause, you're in postmenopause, and like you should be feeling XYZ. And then when you're not, you're just like, but I don't know what that, like, I don't feel that, or I don't feel this, or I feel more like this. And, it's all of these conversations. And so the more women I talk to and the more rooms that I get in where people are in menopause, because at 55, like, I find myself in rooms a lot with menopausal women, whether it's professionally or personally. And it's a matter of like, what are you actually experiencing? Not what do the stats say, not what does the list in the textbook say about what menopause should be. Like, what are you experiencing, both inside and out? Physical changes, emotional changes, mental changes, all of those things that are happening. And
Mhm.
once you start that conversation, it's like this whole like snowstorm of like things, right? Because it just snowballs.
Right. And that's what I love about this little worksheet is that we get to document some of those things because as I walked through this, I thought, I don't always know what my body is feeling. I'm not that always self-aware. One, I have a really hard time sometimes identifying the feeling. And but when I do, then I can say, oh, it's here, or or it feels heavy or whatever. But it's those, I think it's just the conversation of becoming aware of how your body is feeling. And I remember kind of as that transition was happening for me, is that I remember saying to myself, man, I'm acting like a teenager.
Yeah.
Because my hormones were like all over the
Right.
place, and I was, I just, like you said, I didn't feel like myself, but I didn't know who I felt like. It's,
Right.
who am I?
Right.
What's happening here? I realize there's physical changes, but I wasn't really expecting some of the things that were actually going on with me. And I thought I wasn't even like this when I was a teenager, but boy, am I ever moody.
Exactly.
a
Yes.
little, a little payback, I guess, for being a fairly calm teenager. And now it hit me like a storm. And I'm like, okay, great. Isn't this fun?
Yeah.
But one of the things that so we're this little reflection, I guess we'll call it, this 7-day reconnection ritual. Tell us a little bit about kind of the premises of it.
So I think we're just always so busy as women. We take care of other people. We like to, nurture. We are called to serve in a lot of different ways. And in service, we tend to forget that we're also meant to serve ourselves. So, God made us who we are,
Yeah.
and we deserve to be served and seen and heard and all of those things just like anybody else would. So we have to start with ourselves first, of really understanding and connecting with our own inner sense of who we are, so that we can be a better and better service to others. If we have zero idea of what's going on in our body, we have no idea why we're experiencing the things that we're experiencing. We have no idea why sometimes we want to throat punch people, and that sounds mean, but we do. That's the reality. We just get so rageful. I've talked to a lot of women who just have this rage, and they're like, I don't want to be like this. It's
Mm.
not who I am, but the hormones are raging and they're not sleeping and they're,
Yeah.
not able to nourish their body because maybe they have, GI issues or whatever the case might be. And so we're just not who we know we are at the core, but we also haven't taken the time to slow down to actually recognize who that is anymore.
Right, right. And I think that's what, when I was walking through this, that was one thing that I noticed is like, because you talk about nourishment, movement, and stillness.
Hmm.
I'm really good at movement. I love to move. In fact, it really pains me sometimes to sit in front of a computer.
Yeah.
'Cause I'd rather be, as soon as the sun comes out, I'm like, I want to go outside and play and or move or walk or ride my bike or swim. So I've got that piece is really great for me. And it also helps regulate some of my moods and my emotions.
Yeah.
The and nourishment, I'm starting to put more attention to that. And I know one thing that you said in one of your videos that has just stuck with me
Mhm.
is protein, fiber, hydrate. And I just can sometimes will say those three things to myself: protein, hydrate, fiber. So I've got my,
Yeah.
and on that one, I know my fiber is quite low. I'm pretty good on hydrating and I'm pretty good on protein, but in this one with nourishment, movement, and stillness, I know my stillness is not, even because even when I'm trying to be still, I'm multitasking. It's like, oh, I can't just watch a show. I got to be doing something else,
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. It's hard. It's a
It is
challenge when it
hard.
hasn't been something. It's like lifting weights. If you go into the gym and you pick up the 50-pound weight, you're probably either not, and if you're new to exercise, you're probably not going to be able to lift it up, right? In reality.
Oh,
But if you go to the gym and you start with the 1 pound and you go to the two and you go to the three and you go from there, eventually, if lifting a 50-pound weight is what your goal is, you're going to get there. But it's where you start and then where you're moving towards. And I think so many times when stillness is hard for me, in full transparency too. I love being busy. I just don't
yeah.
like being over busy. And I find that when I'm over busy, I've crossed a line that's hard to back up from, because now I've made commitments to people and now I want to be the person who shows up when I say I'm going to show up. So then it becomes a moral dilemma. Like there's all these pieces, right? So you have to like really think about when like getting to that place where you're not like you're almost not where you're almost over busy. You know what I mean? But it's a very hard line to find. But
That's
also understanding that you can also give yourself grace and be like, you know what? I think I overextended to whoever it is, and just be like, is there any way that you could find somebody else, or is there any way that I could get some help with this? And 9 times out of 10, or maybe even 10 times out of 10, the other person has been there themselves and they get it and they understand. But we have to be confident enough in who we are to verbalize that and be like, I need some help. And women are not historically really great at asking for help. We're good at giving. We are not always good at asking for help. So
correct.
it's a skill that we need to learn and grow for sure.
Yeah, yeah. We're kind of hard. It's sometimes hard at receiving that help, and or even asking. I know I've had to. Have been in situations where with my health that I had to ask for help. And that was a good learning tool for me. It was really difficult. But yes, all these beautiful pieces to it. I know
Mhm.
being still is one thing that I want to concentrate on, but I get bored really quickly. So I would have small amounts of stillness. But I do notice that, and I'm finding stillness for me can just be away from the computer and the
Yeah,
thoughts of what I feel like I have to do, or could create. Because there's with social media, it's nonstop. You could
right.
create around
All
the
the
clock.
time.
And so sometimes for stillness, I go for a walk
Yep. Yep.
and I just look at the trees. I look at the moss on the trees. That to me is stillness. Or walking, like I went. this last weekend walked on the beach.
Hmm.
And to me, that's stillness because it calms my mind. That's what the stillness needs to calm my mind.
Hmm.
And then I find that actually it opens space for more creativity.
Right. Hmm. You get very much energized from that because you've
Yes.
opened your heart and your mind to that for sure.
Yes. And as we were talking before we started recording too, I've had to put boundaries around myself. It's
Mhm.
like, okay, I have to put the computer away by, 8 or 9 o'clock, whatever it is. And I literally have to pick it up and put it, so I won't look at it. Every once in a while, I have to go sneak over there. And I'm like, no, I need to, it's just, I have to set these little boundaries and really have clear direction on what I am doing as an entrepreneur. There's just so much.
Yeah.
And so I have to say, this is what I do, and I have
Hmm.
to stick to it.
Yeah. That's stick-to-itiveness. That's the hard part for
Yes,
sure. Yeah.
yes, yes, yeah. So many good things. So one of the things that you have here is this 7 day reconnection ritual. What does that look like for someone?
So it's literally committing to 7 days of reflection and introspection on what it is that is what's working, like the stillness, the nourishment, the movement, what's working, and where do you feel like you need some support? So if stillness is a
Oh,
piece that you really struggle with,
it is.
then practicing that. And it sounds like, oh my gosh, I can be still. Like how
Mm,
hard could that be, right?
mm.
Can you be still for a time, like to your point, where you actually feel like your mind is settled? For some people, that's a really quick, they're used to meditation, they're used to doing that sort of deep breathing, and they're in that sort of kind of yoga mindset, right? Where they can get to that place really quickly. For others of us, myself included, it takes a good 15, 30, 60 minutes, depending on the day, right? So there's always, as an entrepreneur myself, like there's always that, well, I could be doing that. I could do this. I could do that. So that we're always thinking about the next thing. There's
Yes.
a really great book called The Power of Now. I love that book. Have you ever read
Oh,
that book?
no. Love having suggestions though.
This is an amazing book by Eckhart Tolle. It's
Oh, yeah.
amazing. And the reason that I love it is because he talks about in the present moment, if you're always in the present moment, there are no problems right here, right now. If there was my favorite thing to think about is if there was a saber-toothed tiger that came into the room right now, you wouldn't be like, well, I think I need to have like a 3 point list of how to take care of that saber-toothed tiger, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. And what's my plan that I do? You're going to be
Yeah.
like, I'm going to leave. I'm going to protect the people that are here with me. I'm going to do something to distract the tiger, and I'm going to get myself out of there, right? You're not going to plan. You're just
Right.
going to problem solve for what's going on in the moment. But we worry at most of the things, if we start to think about what is it that's causing us worry, doubt, fear, uneasiness, a place where we can't be quiet, it's because we're filtering through past experience of that's automatically going to be what happens now when isn't reality. Maybe that happened before. That's not necessarily going to be our reality with this situation now. It's also we're filtering through the future. We're worried about how what if this happens or that doesn't happen or what if this person does this or what if that person doesn't do that. Instead of right now in the moment, there's no saber-toothed tiger. So when we can concentrate on that, that stillness is much easier to capture because we aren't trying to solve all of the problems, the potential problems that a lot of times don't ever come to fruition, that we don't even know what is going to happen, the next minute or the next hour. So it's a very powerful way of starting to like think. And I always like to have people just kind of put their hand on their heart and just be present, right? Because right now, presently, you can feel that. You can feel your hand on your heart, you can feel maybe your heart beating, you can feel the breath going in and out of your lungs, but it forces you to slow down and actually experience what's going on in the moment. So it's a beautiful way to me to be present.
Yes. And I think that you're talking directly to me. I love that though, because I swirl. I can
Yes.
swirl in what was and what might be. And I'm trying to start being more in the present because I'm a planner. I'm not always in the past, but I
Yep.
am usually in the future because I love to plan. That's kind of my space, events or whatever it is, magazines, all these things. And so then I can create stories around that and assumptions and all those things. And oh, this might go. I don't know if anybody else can relate to this. I think of the worst case scenario that everything could be.
Yeah, for sure.
You
Yeah.
know? So that, and then that creates that overwhelm and all that. So I'm really trying to come on back to the present, girlfriend. It's right here. And I love that analogy with the saber-toothed tiger. It's like what's right here, right now, and that there is no problem right here.
And
Yeah,
I want to add one more thing that was sort of a revelation that happened for me a couple of days ago. Right now is the future that I worried about 3 days ago, an hour ago, a week ago. And right now, we're good,
yeah,
right? Good.
yeah,
So when we're always in that like forward thinking, like I'm a planner too, and I think there has to, you're going to be thinking about things and planning things. But the worry, the doubt, the fear, the overwhelm, if you think about it as like right now, right this moment, this is what I worried about. What was I worried about? You know,
yeah.
that's a good reminder, I think, to
That is a really great reminder. So and then we also have a little exercise here too about discovering your body literacy. And this is the one that that kind of hit me because I couldn't even answer one of the questions. One of them was, you were saying, check in daily, especially when you feel overwhelmed, anxious, exhausted, sad, or disconnected. Right now, my body feels, and we have a blank. What does it feel? I feel a little out of tune sometimes to what my body is feeling. And then you said it's asking for, and I'm like, oh my, this is a place of discovery for me. And what might that be? So, yeah, tell us about the discovering your body literacy and what that's like for someone.
There's so many times, especially in midlife, again, we go through these sort of rageful times, or we get angry, or we're crying for no reason, what feels like no reason. There's actually reasons, but or we're anxious, or we're depressed, or whatever word we put on it. And we have this self-judgment of, I mean, my life is pretty good. What am I so anxious about? Why am I depressed? Why am I sad? Why am I angry? What's going on? And yes, there's hormones. Estrogen touches every cell in our body. There are definitely, biological shifts that are happening that we are in, people call it cougar puberty. So we're not too far from puberty at this stage. We're just on the different stage of life. But so it's important that we recognize that there are some biological changes that are happening. And when we don't take the time to look inside and really see what is triggering that anxiety, what is triggering that anger, whatever it might be, we don't know what to do with that then. Anger is like the covering, the blanket that covers everything, right? It's everybody understands anger. It's easy to say I'm angry about something because that's just sort of the overall vision that we have. But when we look deeper, maybe we're embarrassed about something, maybe we're, worried about something, maybe we're hurt, maybe we're lonely, but lonely looks way different than angry. So if we're treating our bodies as though we're angry, in anger, our body might need to talk to somebody, to punch a pillow, to run, to, get away, to do something. If we're actually experiencing lonely that we're labeling as anger, then lonely means I'm going to call a friend. I'm going to go to a shopping center where there's people and I just need to be in other people's energy. I'm going to go walk in the park and see, the dogs, and I love dogs and I want to be around their energy. Like it's different. It's a different way of treating that particular emotion. And if we aren't taking the time to know what exact emotion we're actually dealing with, we're going to be off track. And so when we're starting to deal with it as though it's anger, that doesn't make us feel less lonely. That's only
Right.
going to make the loneliness deepen, and then we'll get more angry. So we're not really healing what needs to be healed.
Right. And I think that's what I love about some of these reflections is that you kind of just, I mean, they're super short, girls. They're just, they're, right in, what your body's feeling right now. So, yeah, I mean, and I can feel a little, because a little situation is coming up and popping in my head, and I'm feeling a little tight around my throat.
Hmm.
Like I don't have a voice. And that
Yeah.
has been something of mine because I have been misunderstood so often because maybe my words weren't clear or whatever. So but so I need to, sometimes I just want to be heard
Hmm. Hmm.
and express my emotions or my opinion or whatever, but I've been shut down so much that I ended up not speaking, and that has followed me into relationships, even with my kiddos and stuff. It's like I just will, oh, I'll just be quiet. They don't need to hear my opinion, but then sometimes you feel like you're not heard. So for me,
Right.
that's kind of one that I think I'm feeling right now. And I kind
Yeah.
of feel it in my throat, like, somebody's kind of like, it's kind of restricted.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense, right? That would be the physical manifestation of what you're feeling if you felt like you were, cut off and you weren't heard. That makes sense.
Yeah. And so I know some of the things that I've done is kind of go to to the magazine and write down some things.
Sure.
It's kind of like having, having your girlfriend right there. Like, okay, I
Mhm.
get to talk to Jennifer and she can sit here with me. And because she's asking me, what patterns did I notice in my emotions and body and what helped me feel more grounded and supported? So I'd love to hear what their thoughts on this are. What helps them feel more grounded and supported? So what are some of the things that are some good go-tos for that? For
For
that?
feeling grounded.
Mm-hmm.
One of the really quick and easy things you can do wherever you are, whatever situation you find yourself in, is feel yourself in the chair, feel yourself, your feet on the ground, just really literally grounding yourself to the environment that you're in. Seeing the sights around you, seeing this, what are you smelling? What are you seeing? What kind of air is on your face? Is it cool? Is it warm? Like being that, you know, focused and detailed because it takes it from here and it makes it real. It's like, okay, if I'm feeling anxious and I feel anxiety in my chest most of the time. So if I'm feeling anxious and my hand is on my heart and I'm calming my breathing down, so I'm not over, I'm not getting myself sort of all hyped up. My nervous system is much more regulated and I'm calming myself down. Then me telling myself in my brain, I'm okay and I'm safe. As I'm looking around and I'm seeing the clouds and I'm seeing the colors on the walls or whatever it is that I'm seeing, I say the clouds because I have a skylight. So I can experience that. It becomes reality. It's not me making things up in my head or supposing something or assuming things. It's actually what's actually going on in the moment right now, instead of all the assumptions that we make, which lead to more triggering of, more anxiety, more worry, all the things, right?
Right. Again, okay. So I think my big takeaway from everything that we've said is coming back to the moment, coming back to the present. And I will say, going through a lot of difficult things in the last few 7 years, that has been my saving grace, to be
Yeah.
quite honest, is
Mhm.
reminding myself to come back to the moment and be
Yeah.
present right here, right now, and what is best for me. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness. And I love this last question. What might I do differently next week to honor what my body's telling me? And I love that word honor. That is
Mhm.
one that I have brought into my vocabulary, is to honor myself.
Mhm.
It's even more than respect. It's like I'm honoring who I am and who I be, and my body, and taking care of it. So I love that you use that. Uh,
Yeah. There's only
so
one
what?
of us. There's only you're only the only person that will ever exist as you is you. And so honoring what God gave you is to me is just the highest respect for him and the highest respect for us. Like we cannot do better than our best because that's all we have. So,
Yeah.
and that's always good enough. And I think once we start to recognize that, then everything else gets easier and easier.
Wow. So what would you like the ladies to walk away with? What would you like them to experience as they walk through this reflection?
I think the biggest thing that, one of my passions in life, especially in my business, and the reason that I started working with women in menopause is not only from a personal journey that I was going through and will continue to go through forever and ever, but also from this space of really recognizing that who you are and what you're doing and where you are in life is exactly where you need to be at this moment. But that doesn't mean that you can't change things in a way that makes more sense for you, not for the rest of the world, not for everybody else's, experience, but for you. What is it that you want? I maybe a crazy example. I love horseback riding. I absolutely love it. And so one of my dreams is to have a horse that I board down the street and I can ride whenever I want. There's other people that I talk to that are like, those are big clunky animals and I can't, I'm scared to be around them and all these things. That's awesome that we can think that way, that we each can have our own personal experience and
Right.
we can honor our body along the way and we can recognize I need this for me. And
Mm,
there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing that is not selfish to take care of yourself. So
mm,
really recognizing what is it that you want out of life And then go get it, ladies, because I don't care if you're 50, 60, 70, 80 years old in your 30s, doesn't matter. Like it's still possible. There are always things that we can do to get to fulfill our lives in the way that we are meant to and the ways that we want to. So dream bigger, go get it. It's yours for the taking when you're willing to just let yourself be that person and allow it into your life.
Oh, wow. That is so great. Yes, ladies, it is so wonderful to have people like Jennifer who believe in us, who help us recognize what we have within us and to see help us nurture these different pieces of our journey, if you will. So Jennifer, I just want to thank you for coming alongside of us, being one of our girlfriends and our kind of in our back pocket, and being there for us and believing in us that we can have that life that we desire, and what that might look like in those little itty bitty steps sometimes that it takes to come back to the present or to be in tune with our bodies. So just want to thank you for coming alongside of us, and what a great conversation.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
All right, girls, we'll see you next time. And you can experience the beauty within with our Being Brave Tour magazine and podcast. We'll see you next time.